All right, and finally, from Dune Prophecy, we have costume designer Bojana Nikitovic. So many wonderful artists on this stage. I feel very, very spoiled. Dune Prophecy is going to be first up on my list today. And with that one, it's probably no surprise that I'm going to zero in on Inez's red dress, which is absolutely incredible. And one thing that I had read was that you had a mountain of drawings before selecting this particular idea that everyone's seeing right now. So that makes me wonder, can you tell me maybe what idea number one was and how that compares to the finished product?
I start with drawing many different drawings for each character, but this one was really important because this dress is so important for the whole first episode and for the whole story, and we were never enough happy with what we had. But finally, when we did the one that you will see on a beginning and then the end, that was the one that we said, okay, now we know what we are going to do. But then we had to make it, and it's not always easy on paper. On the paper it looks different, but actually when you start building it, you get different problems to resolve. So the most important thing was fabric. I was never happy enough with the things that we were getting, and you have some phases here. You have like laser cut that we made finally. This and then we applied this on the other layer of the silk, and we created. Here you can see how we finally created our own fabric, and we really paid attention how it will catch the light under the different angles. So finally, then we were happy enough. Now you will see when we added the veil, how the veil again, on the veil we used laser cut pieces of the fabric. So you see now how it finally looked. And the fabric of the dress was the main thing. Once we had that fabric, we were happy enough to continue. And the upper part was really important also because it shows, you know, in a drawing I wanted that to look like almost like a cage, like a net that she is put in. So that's how we built it, and it was all put by hand, piece by piece, and attached before sewn. Then we had a headpiece that took another, that was another important thing because each piece on that headpiece was made by hand by our metal artists. So it's then our milliner put it together to create the headpiece that was light enough to be worn, and in a certain moment, like Inez is taking it off in the scene. So all these things we had to do before we came to this solution.
You touched on this a little in your answer just now, but I'd love to emphasize this even further. It's not just a beautiful piece, but the way it's designed really leans into the themes of the show and also Inez's situation. So can you tell us a little bit about how you incorporated that into your dress here?
Because for me, always, it's important. For me, costume always has to tell the story of the character and not only be beautiful and, decorative. So each thing, even the corset that you are now seeing, each piece on the corset, even how it's locking in the back was particular. And we have the other scene where her mother is helping her to put the corset, and this whole dress and this corset and panier tells the story of women in that family, because her mother is wearing that dress on the portrait that we will see in Corino Palace. So you have the story, the history of these arranged marriages and women who had to go through that. So that's why we wanted to create, yes, it is a beautiful dress, but in a way it's something that looks like a golden cage put on her.
What was it like for you seeing it, I guess, in action on set for the first time, especially, opposite Pruitt, the scene where he has to feed her, because there's something about your design and how, appropriately awkward it makes that moment that's just so effective.
I'm glad that you noticed, because that was another thing that we wanted, that he's opening actually here her net, her metal net, her headpiece, to put the fruit inside. So everything was very symbolic in that scene, and it was important to make it work, and it's not so easy with the veil. So we had two veils. One veil was without opening in the front. The other veil had a seam here so that he can open it and put the fruit. Those are all the details that you have to think about when you're making costumes like this.
Oh, so good. I wish we had time to highlight all the looks. In an effort to get to one more before we move on to our next show, is there any particular design that you tackled for Dune Prophecy Season 1 that wound up being more creatively fulfilling for you than you ever could have imagined at the start?
Well, I really like one of my favorites are Javi Cocorino's costumes because they have this embossing that we try to create something new. Again, talking about the fabrics, and you can never find the fabric that you really like. So we ended by making cutting by laser the leather and then pressing the fabric on it to get that special embossing. And that's something that the whole team is very proud of because we try to create something new, and I think it worked. I hope it worked.
So good, as all the designs, seriously.